The story opens in a luxurious VIP delivery room where a woman idly flips through a magazine as she waits to give birth. Her patience snaps and she lashes out, angrily ordering the nurses to hurry and deliver the baby, all while still fixed on her magazine. Moments later, a baby's cry fills the room. A staff member rushes out, joyfully congratulating the grandfather. Guests gather, offering their congratulations to Mr. Liu, who accepts them graciously. Curious, he asks a maid where Shaquan is, only to learn the young master is busy with matters on earth. His expression darkens at once, furious at his son's absence and denouncing him as worthless and good for nothing. Suddenly, a strange piercing scream rings from inside the delivery room, leaving everyone stunned and uneasy. Mr. Liu springs to his feet, anxious, demanding to know what is happening inside. Within the room, the mother's eyes widen in shock as a blinding light bursts forth. When the grandfather and his attendants rush in, they stand frozen in disbelief. The dazzling light issues from the newborn himself, his tiny body wrapped in arcs of golden lightning. To the others it is a miracle, but to the baby it feels completely different. In his mind he smirks, certain no one will believe that a simple commoner like him has been reborn into such a powerful family and awakened with a divine sense. A system screen flickers before his eyes, confirming the activation of a lightning-type divine sense, already reaching seal power. The grandfather can hardly believe what he is seeing. His grandson is born with an innate power the elder himself never achieved. His cane slips from his hand as he cries out in astonishment at this unmatched divine talent. Overcome with joy, he lifts the newborn high and proclaims to all present that the Liu clan has produced a once-in-a-generation prodigy. Yet deep within, the baby, nursing his own ambition, vows to seize everything from the clan and make sure his so-called father never gets another chance at life. Meanwhile, the maids whisper among themselves, amazed that the young master is smiling instead of crying. An omen, they say, of an extraordinary destiny. The elder proudly promises to dedicate the clan's full strength to raising this child. In the protagonist's mind, thoughts stir. He reflects on the past 6 months since being killed by that vile scumbag, the memory still feeling like a dream. Just a month ago he had been killed by her husband and reborn as her baby inside her belly. She, now his mother, had drunk a special tonic prepared by a loyal maid. The moment the liquid touched her lips, a powerful golden glow began to radiate from her body. Because of this he gained an extraordinary gift, accelerated growth, and astonishingly he had already reached Dank even while still in the womb. He cannot help but marvel at how vast the gap is between powerful clans and commoners. Ordinary people would risk their lives for the strength he now casually possessed before being born. Yet the ability puzzles him. Accelerated growth. There are no known records of such a power. 2 months later he found himself at the center of a dangerous absorption crisis caused by the mother's original embryo. Fortune favored him. Using his accelerated growth, he consumed the original embryo completely and absorbed its power, gaining an innate lightning-type divine sense. Lightning is a rare and formidable element. The thought thrills him. He vows to exploit his family's endless resources, cultivating his body and power until he stands at the very peak. 3 months later, his lightning divine sense has already advanced to an intermediate stage. Meanwhile, an entirely different scene unfolds outside his tiny sanctuary. High heels and scattered underwear litter the floor of his mother's bedroom. On the bed, tangled feet and warm whispers fill the air. His mother lies with a blonde-haired man, unbothered that she is carrying a child. The man questions her nervously, asking if she is not afraid. She replies coolly that her marriage is nothing but a political arrangement. Inside her womb, the fetus, our protagonist, hears everything. The blonde-haired man doubts whether the child is even his, while the woman ignores him and urges him on passionately. The noise and chaos of his mother and her secret lover shake the unborn child's energy absorption, frustrating him deeply. In irritation, he releases a burst of energy that makes his mother gasp, complaining it burns her from the inside. By the 6th month, his power has already reached peak rank, and he comes to fully understand the unique constitution of his mother. One day, a handsome man stands silently, gazing at the woman's belly with impatience, wondering when the child will finally be born. From within, the unborn child opens his eyes and glares at the man with seething hatred. In his mind, the man is branded nothing more than filthy mud. Suddenly, a memory from his previous life flashes before him. He recalls the day he was warned about terrifying beasts. One of his comrades, gravely injured, pleaded with him, calling him Brother Liu, to escape while he still could. The companion cried for help, trapped and desperate, but all the young man could do was stand and watch. That day his friend was torn apart by a monstrous creature, his screams echoing as the beast devoured him whole while Liu stood frozen, watching every moment. With a twisted grin, the traitor gave the order. Feed the beast and form the spirit core. His eyes glint with malice as he watches, savoring every moment of his victim's despair. At that instant, the young man notices it, a massive spike hurtling toward him with deadly intent. Before he can react, his former companion drives a huge branch through his chest, lifting him into the air without mercy. He stares down at the gaping wound, unable to grasp the betrayal he has just suffered. Laughter bursts from the scumbag, sharp and mocking, echoing as he revels in the moment. He sneers, declaring that this is what happens when fools overestimate their strength. The young man is tossed aside like trash, his body broken. With fading breath, he accuses the traitor of using him as nothing but bait to feed the beasts. As darkness closes in, one thought consumes him. What will happen to his little sisters? Memories rush back, saying goodbye to one of them, promising he would return soon. He recalls grabbing his weapon and stepping out for what seemed like another routine mission, leaving 3 innocent girls waiting in that small house. That night, beneath the pale glow of the moon, the sisters stared through the window, whispering about when their big brother would come home. Back in the present, within the womb, the reborn protagonist seethes with rage. His heart burns with a vow to destroy the one who tore him from his family. Gathering his energy even as a fetus, he channels his power and launches a devastating punch outward. The strike lands, smashing into his so-called father's face with force no one anticipated. The man is flung backward, crashing to the floor in agony, stunned by the invisible blow. The mother gasps in pain as the child in her belly suddenly begins kicking violently. The traitor's father writhes on the ground, clutching his face, unable to grasp what just happened. The woman groans in frustration, complaining that the child is already causing trouble before even being born. Alarmed, the grandfather orders the nurse to examine the situation inside the delivery room. The nurse hesitates, then explains that the young master's talent is extraordinary, causing his development to accelerate far beyond normal. Suddenly she falls silent, shocked to realize the baby is about to be born. The mother, writhing in pain, screams for the best delivery team at once. Inside the womb, the boy laments that in his past life his strength had only reached peak D level, yet now, even before birth, he stands at the brink of a breakthrough. A month later, the Liu family hosts a lavish banquet in celebration of the newborn. Influential families from across southern Xia arrive bearing extravagant gifts to honor the clan's future heir. Amid the festivities, the grandfather sits quietly, watching a violin performance with a maid at his side. Meanwhile, the 1-month-old protagonist rests peacefully in another maid's arms, calm despite the noise. A guest steps forward, congratulating Master Leo on his grandson. The elder nods politely, though his thoughts wander. Another guest approaches the boy's father with congratulations as well. But the infant's sharp gaze fixes on that man, the very one who betrayed him in his past life. Anger rises within him. This is the one who stole him from his sisters. In that instant, he silently vows revenge. Memories return, his sisters' faces glowing with joy as they prepared to share a small birthday cake, their eyes bright with excitement. In his past life, he had been on the phone with Brother Chen, who scolded him impatiently for being late to a mission. He apologized, but Chen scoffed, thinking he had hired him only because he was desperate for money. Chen told him to use his head better, and the young man thanked him for the opportunity. Back home, his sisters waited eagerly for his return so they could taste the cake. He had said goodbye to one of them, promising he would be back soon. With that, he grabbed his weapon and left, leaving the 3 little girls alone, waiting anxiously. That night they sat by the window, gazing at the moon, whispering their wish for their brother's safe return. Elsewhere, in a shadowy forest, a mysterious glowing portal shimmered. A man approached, cigarette dangling from his lips. It was the same man who had congratulated young Master Ji earlier at the banquet. Young Master Ji himself, leader of a dangerous secretive operation. Surrounded by loyal subordinates, he calmly asked about the mission's progress. One of his men reported they had been inside for some time and the beasts should be well fed. Pleased, young Master Ji praised old Chen for his efficiency, remarking he must have been raised well. Turning to the woman beside him, he explained the trip was for her sake. She only scoffed, mocking him as another lowlife from the Ji family desperate to climb. Ignoring the insult, the group of traitors advanced toward the glowing portal, preparing to leave that barren wasteland behind. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the desolate land, one of the hero's companions urgently warned of a dangerous beast nearby. To their surprise, young Master Ji was informed someone had survived the earlier massacre, an outcome he had never expected. He smirks, remarking that more food will be useful for their medicine. Old Chin frowns in confusion, pointing out that everyone they encountered was only D-level soldiers. How could anyone still be alive? Suddenly a deafening noise rumbles through the area, drawing every eye in one direction. Their leader's face hardens as he studies the disturbance. Soon the cause is revealed, a beast with a fresh wound in its leg, glaring at a lone figure. There he is, the young man, battered and exhausted, yet standing his ground for what might be his final fight. One of the traitors cautiously steps forward, but young Master Ji demands to know who dared harm his beast. His eyes widen in shock as he recognizes the survivor. Yen, he mutters in disbelief. The young man turns, bewildered, calling out to Brother Chen, still trying to understand what is happening. Chen's companion nervously asks if he brought reinforcements, and in a panic several enemies scatter and flee. Back in the present timeline, the reborn baby clenches his tiny fists, vowing to avenge that deep blood feud. He stretches out his arms, making soft baby noises toward the traitor standing before him. The man freezes, stunned, unable to grasp what the child wants. The baby's father proudly announces that his son wishes to be held, calling it the greatest honor of his life. With that, the traitor cautiously lifts the child, even thanking him for what he believes is a reward. The infant lets out a fake cry, hiding his true intent. In an instant, yellow lightning bursts from his body, shocking the traitor with a surge of energy. The man screams in agony as electricity tears through him, forcing him to drop the baby. The infant hits the mansion floor with a loud thud, gasps rising from the women at the party and halting the music mid-performance. Every eye turns to the scene. The grandfather sits silently, expression unreadable, while the parents remain frozen in shock. On the floor, the baby immediately begins to cry loudly, maintaining his innocent disguise and fooling everyone. The traitor, drenched in cold sweat, trembles in panic at how badly things have turned. Terrified, he cannot move. The grandfather's face twists in fury as he roars, outraged that anyone would dare drop the Liu family's precious heir. The coward instantly throws himself down, groveling at their feet. He pleads that it wasn't his fault, insisting the young master moved on his own. But the father does not believe him. With a glare of contempt, he drives a brutal kick into the man's chest, spitting that he is nothing but a dog. The traitor crashes across the marble floor, groaning in pain. Crawling on his knees, he begs forgiveness, swearing he never intended harm. To prove loyalty, he offers his treasures, hoping to secure care for the boy. But instead of pity, the father gives him a mocking smile, savoring his humiliation. With an icy tone, he orders the guards to drag the man out and beat him. Pathetically, the traitor thanks him for the punishment as the guards seize him. Meanwhile, a maid carefully lifts the baby into her arms. Hidden against her shoulder, the infant curls his lips into a dark, satisfied smirk at how perfectly his plan worked. The traitor, now bruised and dazed, stares in confusion, unable to understand how events spiraled so fast. But the clever child wails again, crying to keep up his flawless act. The old traitor stumbles in disbelief at how quickly the baby returns to tears. The grandfather wastes no time, instructing the maid to take the boy inside and check for any injury from the fall. Once the child is carried away, the elder turns a cold glare on his son, sharply criticizing him. With their families standing, he declares, there is no need to keep worthless trash around. His words sting deeply. With a snort, the patriarch storms out of the hall, enraged at the disgraceful scene. The boy's father grips a wine glass so tightly it shatters in his hand, blood dripping from his palm. His fury erupts as he lashes out, delivering a savage kick into the traitor's face. He does not stop, kicking again before ordering the guards to throw him outside and feed him to the house dogs. The man's pleas for mercy go unanswered as he is dragged away like refuse. The host calmly tells the shocked guests to continue enjoying the banquet while the baby quietly plots how to absorb more power and grow stronger. A doctor is summoned to examine the child, quickly confirming that his body is incredibly resilient and completely unharmed. Hearing this, the grandfather bursts into laughter, rejoicing that his grandson is safe and strong. But for the infant protagonist, family pride means nothing compared to what truly matters: finding the 3 sisters he left behind in his former life. He knows he must grow quickly, strong enough to act on his own and claim the essence he seeks. For now, though, he begins crying for milk, demanding nourishment. The elder immediately orders his daughter-in-law to feed the child and to consume more spiritual medicine to restore her health. The exhausted mother, pale and weak, complains that she had just fed him moments earlier. But the patriarch shows no sympathy, coldly telling her she must endure for the clan and their heir. With frustration, she removes her coat and lifts the child, preparing once more to feed him against her will. As she stares down at her son with tired, red eyes, she begins to breastfeed him. But even through her fatigue, she cannot help but groan in pain, complaining that the little rascal is sucking far too hard. Seeing his daughter-in-law growing pale and weak, the grandfather immediately orders tonic soup to be brought for her nourishment. Soon after, the scene shifts to a hot spring where the baby is bathing with his mother. She sighs in exhaustion, complaining that he has been feeding endlessly and jokingly asks if she must have owed him a debt in a past life. 3 months pass and the baby has grown rapidly, now crawling all over the house with surprising speed. His power has already reached sea level, a pace that astonishes even him. In his previous life, reaching such strength took him an entire year, advancing from elementary D level to intermediate, only after surviving dangerous portal missions and suffering numerous injuries. But this time, drinking his mother's milk has pushed him from elementary C level to intermediate in just 3 short months. During one family dinner, the little protagonist crawls determinedly toward the main table. The grandfather, irritated, scolds the staff for letting the heir roam freely. The maid quickly apologizes, explaining that the boy crawls so fast she cannot keep up with him. The baby's father jokes that his son must simply want more milk, while the mother looks drained and complains she has been breastfeeding non-stop for 3 months without rest. But in the baby's mind, he is focused. There is no time to waste. He must keep getting stronger no matter what. To everyone's shock, the infant suddenly stands up on his own, wobbling but steady. The grandfather and butler stare wide-eyed at this incredible sight. Then, to their amazement, he begins walking, his tiny feet taking steps toward his stunned mother. Without warning, he leaps at her, making her yelp as she scolds him, begging to at least let her eat one meal in peace. The maid, stunned, exclaims that the young master is standing and walking by himself, while the butler remarks on the child's extraordinary celestial constitution. The grandfather beams with pride, pleased beyond words by his grandson's rapid development. He then declares it is time to follow family tradition, selecting a personal servant for the boy. In a dark chamber, preparations are underway for the selection. The elder in charge asks for an update, and a guard reports that only 2 candidates remain. Soon, the protagonist, nestled in his mother's arms, is brought to an improvised arena where the final test will take place. He watches carefully, but then freezes, his eyes widening in shock. Among the candidates, he recognizes one of them. Inside the arena, a small girl with white hair stands in a defensive stance, her expression filled with fear. Opposite her, a blonde girl charges aggressively, shouting as she prepares to strike. The baby's mind races. What is she doing here? His body reacts instinctively, glowing with intense light as he activates his lightning-type divine power. In an instant, a bolt of energy arcs out, striking the blonde fighter. She is blasted off her feet, crashing to the ground and knocked out cold, leaving everyone stunned by the unexpected display. The white-haired girl wastes no time, lunging forward and snatching up the bread. Without hesitation, she devours it hungrily, crouched in the middle of the cell as if the world around her does not exist. Watching from his crib, the baby protagonist stiffens in panic, praying no one notices anything strange about what just happened. But instead of suspicion, the grandfather bursts into hearty laughter, declaring that his grandson has far more fighting spirit than his own father ever did. The baby sighs in relief, thinking that being a child definitely has its perks. Adults always find a way to excuse his behavior. The elder then decides on the spot that the little girl will serve as the young master's personal attendant. He orders that she be cleaned up and taught proper etiquette. The girl, however, does not seem to care about appearances, still eating ferociously as though nothing else matters. Meanwhile, the baby beams happily from his crib, calling out to his new servant with a wide grin. The butler steps forward, explaining the details of her role. She is a death servant, meaning her sole purpose is to protect the young master at any cost. The white-haired girl simply nods silently, accepting her new fate. The butler adds that she must follow the master constantly and train in martial arts while her master sleeps. Soon after, the butler leaves, closing the door while the girl stays in the baby's room to begin her new duties. The young protagonist excitedly calls to her and points at himself with a big innocent smile. But instead of showing loyalty, she pulls out a knife, her expression twisting into one of pure hatred and vengeance. The baby freezes in panic, struggling to speak, but unable to make more than baby sounds. The girl hisses through clenched teeth that she will end his life to avenge her older brother's death. With a sharp movement, she lunges, knife poised to strike the defenseless infant. But in a shocking display of agility, the baby dodges the blow, leaping out of the crib and leaving behind a shimmering energy afterimage. The girl's eyes widen in disbelief as he suddenly reappears at her side, moving far faster than she ever imagined a newborn could. As she regains her stance, a green aura bursts from her body, wind energy swirling around her. The protagonist is stunned to realize she wields a rare wind-type divine sense. She charges, wind slicing through the air, but he reacts instantly, summoning his lightning power to defend himself. The clash of wind and lightning fills the room with dazzling flashes of color, the energies colliding in a blinding storm. Inside, the baby grits his teeth, thinking how overwhelming it is to use this much power in such a fragile body. Suddenly, an idea sparks in his mind. Instead of overpowering her, he channels his thunder divine sense at the lowest possible level, forming a tiny lightning spear. It strikes her directly, sending a surge through her body that paralyzes her on the spot. The girl collapses to the ground, her body trembling as the electricity still dances across her nerves. The baby breathes a sigh of relief, though visibly exhausted from the effort. Meanwhile, the girl lies there, stunned, her body still twitching from the electric shock. The baby approaches cautiously, reaching for the sharp edge of the knife. With deliberate intent, he pricks his tiny finger, letting a single drop of blood roll down. Using it, he quickly scrawls a message on the floor, proud of his quick thinking and ability to communicate despite his limitations. The white-haired girl glances down and stares at the message, finally understanding its meaning. The baby then stretches his arms wide, signaling for a hug, hoping to show he means no harm. But she charges at him again. Only then does he remember she cannot read yet. Dodging swiftly, he panics, knowing that if anyone sees her attacking him, her fate will be sealed. Meanwhile, down the hall, the traitor walks through the mansion holding a wooden box tightly in his hands. A flashback plays in his mind. The man coldly told him that he was only alive because he was still useful. Grateful yet humiliated, the man had bowed, thanking the young master for his mercy and vowing to work harder. He had spent everything he owned to buy a rare item at auction, desperate to earn the baby's favor and save his own skin. Now, as he nears the nursery, he hears the sound of the young master's voice and pauses, curiosity sparking at what could be happening inside. Pushing the door open, he steps in, calling out the name of the Liu family heir. But the sight before him makes him freeze. The baby and the girl are darting around the room, chasing one another in chaos. Sensing an opportunity, the infant protagonist's eyes darken with a cunning glint. A plan forms instantly. Grabbing the servant's hand mid-swing, he redirects the knife, channeling a surge of lightning directly into her forehead. The shock makes her body seize, and she collapses onto the rug, unconscious. Seizing the moment, the baby snatches the falling knife from the air and without hesitation, plunges it into his own shoulder. Blood sprays as he completes his twisted yet perfect setup. The traitor stays in shock, unable to comprehend what he is seeing, and screams in terror. The baby then tosses the bloody knife directly at him. Instinctively, the man catches it, staring in horror at the blood-stained blade now in his hand. In his shock, he fumbles, dropping the precious wooden box he had brought as an offering. The baby, not wasting a second, takes a deep breath and unleashes a loud, heart-wrenching wail, collapsing dramatically on top of the unconscious girl. By the time the others rush into the room, led by the grandfather, the traitor is standing there trembling, holding a blooded knife, the white-haired servant unconscious on the floor, and the baby crying in pain. The elder and his son stand frozen, their faces tense as they take in the chaotic scene. The baby keeps up his loud crying, clinging to the fainted servant as if shielding her. The grandfather's fury erupts instantly. He points at the traitor, accusing him of daring to attack the Liu family heir. In a panic, the man throws the bloody knife to the floor and desperately tries to defend himself, insisting it is not what it looks like. But the baby's father does not buy it. His fist connects with the man's face, knocking him back as he roars about harming his son. Choking back panic, the traitor blurts out that the girl was the one who attacked and he only acted to protect the baby. Still, the infant keeps up his tearful performance while the accused man bleeds and pleads, his voice breaking with desperation. He swears to the elder he is telling the truth, but his words fall on deaf ears. The father's patience snaps again. Another punch lands squarely on the man's jaw, followed by a furious demand. "Where is the gift you brought?" Scrambling, The traitor searches frantically for the box he had dropped amid the chaos. Meanwhile, the elder praises the unconscious white-haired girl for risking her life to protect his grandson and orders the staff to take her away and let her rest. Placing a heavy hand on his own son's shoulder, the elder glares, his crimson eyes burning with rage. His voice drips with contempt as he says he taught his son how to raise dogs, yet he nearly lost the family's greatest hope because of one. As everyone leaves the room, the traitor remains kneeling, trembling as a cold sweat breaks across his forehead. The baby's father stops at the doorway and throws one last look of pure hatred and disgust. He kicks the man to the ground, spitting out, "I gave you a chance, and you still dared to betray me." With one sharp command, he orders the man to be dragged out and fed to the dogs. In his crib, the infant protagonist finally exhales in relief. His plan worked flawlessly. But then his eyes shift to the unconscious servant, worry flickering across his face. The butler steps in, announcing he must take the girl for treatment. Panic grips the baby as he remembers the message he wrote in blood is still beneath her.